so terrible at this. You podcasts, you suck.
Wake up. Why don't we play a little magic? I want to play a new deck, Tajik. Why'd you leave your deck set home? I guess we'll create another podcast, CommanderSmiths. Why'd you... Repeat that twice. Repeat that twice a little bit.
That's cheating.
I don't think you trust in my self-deprecating side. I try when cousins should really buy.
Oh, that's awesome. System of a Down.
Correct.
Which one is that though? It's not
the first hit I heard.
It's not the bombs or the
no, not BYOB.
Oh, which one is that then? Wake up, watch your little makeup. I don't know the name of it. What's the name of the song?
Chop Suey.
Oh, duh, Chop Suey.
Heck yeah, I love that song.
Yeah, that's one of the best songs. That was awesome. Welcome to CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I am Adam Smith,
and I'm Lowery Smith.
Don't worry.
We are cousins.
Woo!
And this is episode number 76.
76, kind of 75.5, because half our episode was gone last week. It was the weirdest. We're just
cut out.
We're looking. So for patrons, thank you, because we're now looking at being able to use that to upgrade our equipment, because we're like, we have to get it so that we don't have this problem.
Because we've had it cut out like 6-8 months ago, where I had to drive back up to Adams and we redid a spotlight.
Yeah.
And then like a couple months ago it cut out, but we caught it after like 5-10 minutes. I was like, why the fuck is my level so low? Now after last week, it's like, nah, let's upgrade.
Yeah, so I think we're going to be looking at a little behind the curtain thing. We use Yeti mics, which are like USB that plug into my computer, and I think we're actually going to look into buying a mixing board with analog mics. Which,
I mean, seriously, it will be a little bit of money, but like as long as we don't have to screw with levels before, because we spend
we should tell you that part too.
Minutes on just getting the mics right.
Because, and we've talked about it before when we've had echo problems. If you've been with us from the beginning, we've had multiple episodes where like all of a sudden one of us is echoing throughout the entire thing. We have to do like a mic test at the beginning,
and then it'll change randomly.
The settings that you had last week don't work this week, and so it's just like, because we're using a free program, it's called Voice Meter, that you get online, which
is probably one of the better free ones.
Yes. But it's a way to mix your two mics together, because otherwise you have trouble having both your mics going at the same time. Otherwise, Larry and I guess we could share a mic. We are cousins. Just be all right next to each other, our beards intertwining.
You don't have a real beard. You have stubble. Yeah. You're like Velcro. Mine is like not that long right now either.
Oh, good for you.
In the winter,
Lowery.
Mine is like a vine trellis where it's all over the place.
You know, the biggest thing about last week that Yarok got cut out, but there were so many good for yous that I had in there for you, and I had to cut it all. It's like, damn it. Lowery bragged a lot last week.
And honestly, I don't remember what I say on this podcast most of the time. So since you cut it, I might just repeat myself.
You're probably going to, because we're going to go over cards, and then you're like, do you have that one in foil or promo? Because that's what it was. So get ready for Lowery to do some bragging. All right, so what do we got this week? We have quite a few things.
So we're going to do a Yarok spotlight. And a couple weeks ago, we kept on going like, I love that creature or card or whatever. So we have decided to do our favorite top 5 creatures, independent lists between the two of us.
So we both made the list, and then we kind of made it, and then we showed it, show and tell. And so we're going to go 5 down to 1 of our top 5 favorite cards. Not necessarily, there was another angle we could have done, like most used, or just our favorite. It's
it's favorite, and which we don't have to have to prove whatever our favorite is.
You're a liar. That's not your favorite. Well, it was weird because
there was a couple where you're like, why aren't you doing this?
Exactly, because there's cards I stayed away from because I like using them now, but I didn't use them because they're more of like a Lowery card. That's how Lowery introduced me to them, and he had them in all. Like, one that's not on our list is Spellskite.
Sure, yeah.
And that's one card where I was like, thought for sure Lowery might have that on there, but his list, I know what you're talking about. I'm like, oh yeah, those are 5 cards you like to use a lot. So, and
then, but first off, I guess we got to go through we're going to talk a little bit about last week. we kind of got trolled.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that at the beginning.
Can talk about it right now.
We gotta talk about our plugs.
Oh yeah.
Let's get our plugs. We do Twitter. That's where we got ourselves in trouble.
Lowery?
Yeah, we fucking follow trolls apparently.
Yeah. Well, to talk about it there, actually, that's where you can actually talk about it because it's on Twitter. Is where I originally saw the post. I don't remember who I saw it from, but this was like 2 weeks ago, and I like took a picture of it and I sent it to Lowery, and I was like, "Look, there's gonna be fairies, and there's a."
It was that story part of that we were talking about last week. And where Urza and Xanchu are planeswalking, and then they went on to a world that was very similar to Lorwyn, which was going to be Eldraini and
Eldraini
and
the Drain.
So apparently there's this. It's at Still Carry
does this,
and they Photoshop and make things kind of real, but they're basically as Saffron Olive told us. A Vorthos troll.
Yeah.
Like the premier one.
The funny thing is...
And we don't know anything about that.
Yeah. I found out about it today when I was listening to Fast Finance, and they were just about to, like...
they were going to mention it.
Yeah, James was about to, and then Travis was like, nope, hey, that's from Carrie, right? And it's like, yeah, like, that's a troll. They do that, like, editing thing where it makes it... And he's like, oh, good thing I didn't make an ass of it myself. And I was like, damn it, we did. So I text Larry, I was like, that thing, that isn't a real thing. He's like, oh.
And then I started kind of checking it out, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Well, what was the other... There was another one.
Okay, so, like, the other thing that we didn't talk about, because I did find out that it was, like, a troll part, but we're doing this independently, but it was the same person. And they kind of photoshopped Mark Rosewater's Tumblr or whatever he does, and it was like, this is just a fairy tale set. There's no fairies in the set. I don't know why everybody's buying stuff out. And I took a picture. I sent it to Adam. Like, holy crap, this is crazy.
Well, didn't it also say like, I did this to get all the
speculated? Yeah, everybody. I was like, this is super weird. And then I started checking the comments afterwards. And then a minute later, I was like, joke. It's a joke. Don't do anything with this. Total joke. But we did not catch the other one. So at Still Carry, you got us.
Yeah, and we did a whole segment on that.
Yeah,
so.
Well, it wasn't a whole segment because we did.
No,
I mean,
it was pretty quick.
Last week, I did have the link from an actual article. I think it was Hipsters of the Coast. So I linked their article, which they were there at San Diego Comic-Con, and they have a lot of good info there. That's where, if you're kind of confused on where we're at or what we said, I am also confused. So I'd say go back. I'll probably link it under here as well, just to clarify and make sure that the information is accurate, that we're kind of letting you know.
Well, one other part that came of it and why it actually really, besides us talking about it on Twitter, how it came up was one of our listeners was talking with Saffron Olive about something and then posted us saying, hey, whatever, and then
what were you guys talking about? So then
Lowery posted the picture, and then Seth actually today was like, that's a trolling job, and we're like, yep, we got it. Yep. We got fooled.
Well, no, because he was responding to me saying, this is a troll, like this is not inaccurate.
He was responding to you.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking to you earlier. I was like, I was confused why all of a sudden today he was responding.
So
when that was from like
once we were discussing like this is a troll, I was like, oh, okay, we need to own up to being wrong and getting we got owned.
That makes sense.
And so then Saffron Olive was like, yeah, that's officially a troll. And they were good. They're funny, and I think a lot of people get it. We just didn't know.
Yeah.
So, but we'll learn to read comments.
We're new to this Twitter thing. We've only been on Twitter for a year now of realizing, let's look at the comments and see what everybody else says. Although a lot of times when you look at comments underneath, it's just... some things just hate and whatever, so a lot of times
that is depressing to read comments too. I'll admit that.
One thing that was really nice,
except for Meat Force on YouTube.
Hey,
there we go. Boom.
That's what, well, I was gonna say the one thing that's kind of cool that happened this week. There was multiple people that did this. We had Trombley, Swope, Joseph Wonder did shout outs whenever people. So we kind of talked about last week. If you're looking to help our show grow by telling other people, whenever you see, if you're on Twitter, if somebody asks for a shout out for podcasts to listen to, frickin' A, we love it when we see ours pop up on there.
Toss our name out there. It's really appreciated, and it's kind of like, wow. It gets you.
And then if you throw the hashtag Meat Force at the bottom, that's the best part. That's what I text Lara. I was like, I like that we were in the list of the shows that I think it was Joseph that was texting or that. Oh
yeah.
That
you could
finish
keep
my
talking.
thought, but then you start going for the beer, and then I start thinking about beer.
I can drink whenever I want.
You're not my real dad.
Not my dad at all.
It's not what you say in the bedroom. So
we're in the basement.
What are we drinking, Larry?
It's Gumball Head from Three Floyds,
What?
which is a solid beer company. Cheers. It's a wheat.
Head. I spilled it.
And you're spilling it.
It doesn't taste like a gumball.
No, but it's a wheat. It's just Gumball Head. It doesn't mean.
Oh yeah.
Jesus. It's a solid wheat.
Yeah,
Three Floyds is a really good company.
So I completely lost my train of thought.
Thank God.
Joseph did his thing.
Meat Force.
Because
Meat
then he
Force.
hashtagged at the
Force.
end.
Yep.
He did his shout out for shows like CCO and ours, and then at the end it was hashtag Meat Force. I was like, fuck yeah.
And also on Twitter we do I do not sharing with or hashtag not sharing with Adam, and he does proxies of the week. Hashtag proxy of the week.
Last week was Constant Miss, which is one of the sweetest cards. That was one of my favorite proxies to make, and I made that like a year ago at least. It was when I made Rashmi.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had that for over a year. But then you can go on YouTube. Like I said before, that's one of the free ways to support our show. You go on there, like, subscribe, share. And then you can go on there. We still have the July drawing.
Just barely.
Yeah. So Meat Force, hashtag Meat Force.
Right.
And then we'll have a new drawing for next month. But like I said, with the drawing stuff, if you didn't hear it last week, we're kind of combining these 2 months because there was vacations and stuff like that. So we're going to be sending all your proxies out for June and July. And then also potentially what you win off of
the Corset 2020 box. So we're going to be giving that away, and we're going to just be drawing names and kind of giving out packs essentially to our patrons, whoever, $1 per entry for whatever you're doing.
So that will be we ordered the box already, so we're just waiting for that to come in, and then we'll be shooting the video either this next weekend or the following weekend. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, we'll send that all out. And then what's another place they can find us?
You can email us any song suggestions. We've kind of dried up a little bit.
Yeah. Is that all on you're doing there?
Yeah, I did chop suey.
Wow,
yeah.
I'm amazed. You put more than a word. It was a song that has more than one word.
Do you know how hard it is to rhyme with magic? Tagic. Yeah.
And then, like I said, Patreon. You can go on there, Patreon, and donate money.
Help us out, because that'll,
You also, you can get in this month for the drawing for the core set. So if you want to get in there.
But at the end of July here, you cut off.
Yep. So July or August 1st, we will check out who's all on there, put everybody in the hat, draw names, and then that's how we're going to do the winnings for the pack. Mm-hmm. So let's move on to the episode.
I guess we kind of just went over We Were Wrong segment a little bit.
Well, you had one more.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so Joseph Wonder pointed out 2 weeks ago, I believe, we did the Really Hard to Kill one. Was it Too Late to Kill? Mm-hmm. And with Deadeye Navigator, I was thinking for some reason that you could just blank it out of removal. But what it is there is a trigger where that comes onto play, and then you can respond to that trigger. So it's still a really good card. Mm-hmm. It probably should be kill on sight.
Yeah.
Not Too Late to Kill, essentially.
But it's still
really, really, I mean,
it's
a lot of work.
Too late to kill in a way, because you have to have something right there to be able to mess with it.
Yeah. It has to be right there. So it's still really good, but thank you for pointing that out. Meat Force Nation.
Meat Force, hashtag Meat Force. All right, let's move on to Spotlight Deck.
A Spotlight Deck.
0.5, 1.5?
1.5?
Are we
going backwards?
Or before?
Is that how that works?
Yeah. So we kind of went through this whole thing last week, and I tried to really include that into the podcast, and it just sounded terrible. So what happened was, we talked about earlier, Lowery's audio cut out. So you, at some points, you couldn't even hear Lowery at all. It was just like I was talking to myself and laughing at myself, and I was like, this seems really conceited. I'm just like, oh, yeah. Just
Is that how you laugh?
Yep.
That's pretty fake.
All right, so Yarok. I don't even know where to begin with this.
So 2 colorless, green, black, blue, 3/5, Death Touch, Lifelink. That's all, right?
Yep. Well, besides
and then the cool part.
Besides, whenever a permanent comes into play that causes a permanent that you control to trigger, it does it a second time. So the interesting thing where I think Panharmonicon's a little different is that
whenever an artifact or a creature you control comes into play, it triggers an ability.
It all has to be you control, whereas this is any permanent that comes into play that causes one of your permanents to trigger, it does it twice. So the whole idea of this deck, so there was a couple of things that I was kind of running over ideas with Lowery, and I was like, should I do an all ETB deck? Or should I do like a landfall? Because as I was going landfall kind of deck, because it's all ETB kind of things. And you first were like,
don't do landfall, because I just did Golos, Tylus, whatever. And that's heavy land
so
stuff.
Yeah, don't do that. And I was like,
just like, it's going to be a very similar deck.
I'll do all ETB. And so then I started writing down my list, and I'm like, no, landfall has to be it. There's so many good like landfall stuff, and if I just do ETB, this deck is going to be shitty. It's going to be interesting. It's different than what your the
Golos.
The red green guy that you only did creatures.
Oh, Nick, yeah.
So that worked really well together. Whereas if I didn't add things to make them work together, it was just going to be me playing ETB effects the entire time. So then I kind of changed it, and I was like, I need to have like a theme so that the decks start working together. And instead of having one theme, I ended up getting...
Yeah, instead of going, hey, should I go this or that? He was just like, nah, fuck it, I'm going to do it all.
So I ended up having 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of sub-themes throughout the entire deck.
So you went landfall...
Explore.
There's like a elemental,
and then snow is.
Oh yeah.
So all my basics are snow lands, and then there's a few things we'll talk about in a bit that are deal with snow stuff. So, let's just start with the landfall stuff, since it's the first thing I kind of talked about.
So you got like Avenger of Zendikar, which creates, instead of like 8 to 01 tokens, it'd be 16 01 tokens, and then whenever land comes into play, they all get
2 tokens counters on.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, so that's a pretty brutal card late game with
it's
that.
already good.
Yeah.
So you don't need to double it. Lotus Cobra is so if a land comes in, you get to make 2. That's kind of nice. Royal Elemental, whenever a land comes into play, take 2 creatures.
And again, Avenger of Zendikar is an elemental. Royal Elemental, an elemental. Hence the name.
Doubt it.
Some of
the one we were really excited about when you told me, Sire of Stagnation.
So that one I've been wanting to put in decks, and I've spec'd on this card years ago. I think it's a really good card, but what it does is it's an Eldrazi. I think it's a black, blue,
4
and
colorless.
4. And whenever a player plays a land, they take the 2 top cards of their library and exile them, and then you get to draw 2 cards. And so with Yarok,
they play a land,
4 cards and
exile
4 cards into your hand. Cards. So it's just a huge draw, and people aren't going to want to not play land, because you get behind and everything. So I think this is going to be a sweet card to play in this deck, especially since
for sure.
It's just a good draw engine, and I finally get to use it. I'm just so excited.
I think it's going to be brutal.
Yeah. And then we got Tatiova was another one that I'm surprised isn't used as much. Like,
a land comes into play, you draw a card, gain a life, and then double that.
Yeah. It's just a good card, and that's foreshadowing to possibly my spec of the week, maybe.
Tireless Tracker.
One of your favorites.
Whenever a land comes into play, you get to make a clue token, and then whenever you sacrifice a clue token, you get to put a 1/1 counter on it.
So you'd be sacrificing able to get 2, doesn't get you the 2 counters, but you get 2 clue tokens. Yeah.
Retreat to Coral Helm I love that card. Yeah. And whenever a land comes into play, either you get to tap or untap any creature. Mm-hmm. And then, scry one.
So it would be scry 2 or tap 2.
Well, scry 1.
Yeah, exactly. Scry 1, and then you have to do it again. Then you have the green one. I originally had.
Retreat to Kazunda.
What's its name?
Kazunda.
The antelope thing. So I originally
Elk
what is it?
Grazing Greatheart.
Yeah. So I had that, and it did the exact same thing, and I was
Grazing
like,
Greatheart.
Why not have something that gives you a secondary bonus? So what that does is you either gain 2 life or you gain a 1/1 counter, so you double that instead. So and then
Zendikar's Royal create 2/2 elementals.
Yeah.
Which goes into the elemental package.
Which Risen Reef is kind of the... So,
it's
cool
a star
thing
card
is,
right now.
I started playing, like, so, tapped out. So this has been up for a while, and it has probably one of our most viewed, and I haven't even gone over it on this yet, really. It has, like, over 80-some views, which is a lot for us.
Just tells me you guys don't go look at our tapped out.
But, so you can play test your deck, and when Risen Reef is out, holy shit, it goes crazy.
Wait, you test your deck?
Yeah, it's pretty freaking sweet. You didn't realize that's on there?
No.
It's on the left-hand side. You go like probably 4 tabs down and it says test, and you can play it out. Like it even does, you start your next turn and it keeps track of what turn you're on, and then you really untap cool. And it untaps all your stuff. So you're goldfishing. So you're just testing it out. When Risen Reef is out there and any other type, what was the elemental that jumped out? Where is my other one that makes tokens?
Will that be Zendikar's Royal?
Is that one?
The enchantment?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So then every time... So I'd play a land, and then...
Create a 2/2, which reveals the top card.
But you're playing 2 2/2s.
Oh, yeah.
So you're revealing the top card. So I went through... Oh, I forgot I was going to make a note of it. I went through 6 land of doing that. So I played 6 land out, and then I had 12 2/2s. Like, it was so freaking insane.
Filled up your hand.
Yeah,
That's was really cool.
Yeah, so I was like, these combo together really well. That's why I have the arrow pointing to it, because that's when and it happened. Risen Reef is a pretty damn good card. I like that card from this set quite a bit.
Course of 2020.
So then you also have
Titania, Protector of Argoth.
So that when it comes into play, you can bring a land from your graveyard into play.
So 2.
So yeah, 2 land. And then whenever you sacrifice a land...
Well, whenever a land
enters the graveyard,
goes into the graveyard.
You get a 5/3, is it?
Yeah, 5/3 elemental.
Exactly. So then you're kind of working together with that, but... there's a lot of fetch lands in this. I think I put in 5 different kinds of fetch lands. Plus you have like... Do I have that on there?
No, I'm just saying which... I was trying to be sneaky.
Which way we're going?
It.
Okay. Yeah. But you have like 5 fetch lands, and then there's the douchey way of strip mining it, and...
You got that in there? Yeah, very douchey.
Whenever you have a way of bringing back your land, which this one does... Actually, let's talk about this next, because then that kind of talks about
the multi-land bit.
So, like, whenever you have a way to bring back your land, you got to put in strip mine. It's a way to just...
be a dick.
Yeah.
I don't do it. I used to, but I don't.
I'm surprised you would want to go after my Gaia's Cradle.
I normally have like a spell that goes after it. It's not fun to, in my opinion, to make people not play Magic. So, but you got Elusa Lost But Seeking that allows you to play 2 more lands. Courser Crufix that lets you play a land off the top and you gain a life, which would let you gain 2 life, right?
Yeah.
Whenever a land comes into play.
Yeah.
Oracle of Moldiah.
Play a land up the top or play an extra land.
Ramonov Excavator or Crucible of Worlds.
So both of those are in there, bringing back from your graveyard.
Gitrog Monster.
Draw a card whenever a land goes into your graveyard. Sacrifice a land at the beginning of your upkeep. And you can play an extra land.
And then Wasteward, Swordtooth, and Exploration just allow you to play a second land.
So a lot of land playing. So if...
Yeah.
You do get stuff in your... Even if it is just getting your fetches in there, you're able to do it multiple times. And
a great way to get cards in your hand is Exploration.
Yeah.
Which is something that you went for from the Ixalan block.
So the head of it all is Wild Growth Walker, which really... He's an elemental. That's another side part to him. But whenever you explore, you get to... put a 1/1 counter on him, and you gain 3 life.
But that's 2 1/1 counters and gain 6 life, which is pretty big.
So there's a lot of really... There isn't a lot of explore cards, I should say.
Well, especially with you going only permanents in this deck. And because there are some spells, which would add to it. But
I guess I didn't go over that. In this deck, everything's permanent.
Yeah.
So there isn't a thing that is a spell. I said that the last time. I forgot to say that. There's no Soul Ring. There's no Sensei's Top. So your typical, in 99.9% of my decks, I have Soul Ring and Sensei's Top. That is not in this. I don't even have Miri's Guile or Sylvan Library in here.
Because they don't ETB.
Yeah. So I only did things that either ETB or helped multi-ETB. Like this stuff is bringing back things that my focus is land. My Reminop Excavator and Crucible Worlds, it fits with what the deck is kind of doing, so that's why they're in there. But the the Sensei's doesn't fit necessarily. I guess it could help with exploration a little bit because you could set your top.
Yeah, I mean, kinda.
But so yeah, there's the commons and uncommons of exploration. There's the better ones,
Jadelight Ranger, Path of Discovery. I would say those are the two major.
Yeah, those are the two you want to try to get out.
Like, just think if you have like Avenger of Zendikar with Path of Discovery.
Oh man, yeah, that's
Jesus.
All right. Oh, that's
you're looking at like 17 cards off the top, and then just binning, putting lands into your hand, doubling that up.
Yeah,
I don't even want to think about it.
It'd be crazy.
Because that'd be like 34.
Is it? So yeah, that's kind of a smaller portion to it. It kind of fit with the landfall theme. It's not like the game winners, but it's a little side theme to this deck.
Well, I think it allows you to. That's kind of more of like a draw package. In not having like ETB draw things. So you went with Explorer rather than like just Seagate Oracle or Scry mechanics.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is it's land focused a little bit, you know, because you're getting that land into your hand and everything. So
and that helps with Azusa and works really well with Oracle. Like just being able, it's in your hand, you get to play it.
Yeah.
So.
Then we go into should we do typical ETB?
Sure.
Yeah, so you have your typical stuff. One thing that was added for the snow stuff was
Baleful Strix draws you a card when it comes into play, but Icefang Codal also draws you a card when it comes into play.
And if you have snow permanents and all that, it gains Death Touch, but it has flash, which is kind of cool about it.
I think it allows you to draw. It always has Death Touch flying.
No, it doesn't always have Death Touch.
Oh, it gains Death Touch.
Death Touch.
So it always draws you a card.
Always draws you a card.
Okay.
If you have 10 or more. No, 3. 10 or more. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Merit Lage. Where's that one? We can talk about that too.
Oh, yeah, it's in the awesome ETB.
Merit Lage's Slumber. That's an enchantment. Whenever you have a snow permanent come into play, you get to scry one.
And you get to scry one when it comes into play.
Yeah.
So if you have Yarok out, you get to scry one again.
Same thing whenever you're playing a basic land.
If you have 10 of them, you get a 20/20 flying indestructible.
Which seems good.
Yeah. It's one of my few flyers in this deck.
That's a good point.
Really a flying deck. I have a few in here.
That's good because
that's how
I made Kikar and all flying.
All flying.
All flying. You won't be able to stop me.
So you have your other ones. You have Eternal Witness, which you'll be able to bring back 2 cards when it comes in.
Wood Elves goes and gets you 2 forests, puts them into play.
So there's about 5 or 6 elves that ETB go get lands. You know, there's different ones. And then these 2 are one of your favorites there.
Solemn Simulacrum and Muldrifter, which aren't alike at all, so I shouldn't have said them at the same time. Solemn, when it comes into play, you get to go and get a basic land and put it into play tapped, which would be 2. Muldrifter, when it comes into play, you draw 2 cards, which would be 4 cards.
Yeah.
And you can evoke that for cheap early on.
Yep, and it still does that same effect.
Gonti, Lord of Luxury, seems pretty solid in this.
So these are my awesome ETB package.
So awesome.
But so what that one does, it has Death Touch, but when it comes in, you get to look at the top 4 cards, I believe it is, of target player's library, and then you can take one of those and exile it. The other ones go on the bottom of their library. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, but you get to cast it with any color mana that you want. So it could be interesting because if it comes in, you can do it to 2 players. Look at theirs, or look at one person and do the
Just
top 8 cards and figure out something that you want to keep. You won't be able to play land because I believe it's a cast trigger. Maybe I should.
I don't know that one off the top of my head.
I'm gonna pull it up, but why don't you keep moving on? I'll pull it up.
Growing Rites of Itlamok allows you to look at like the top 4 of the cards and put a creature into your hand from there. But with Yarok, you get to go and do 2, and when you have 4 or more creatures at the end of an upkeep, or at the end of a turn, you get to flip it, and then it's Guy's Cradle, which is crazy. You have Hostage Taker.
Yeah, Gonti is cast. So if you had a land, you wouldn't be able to use it.
Yeah, you would want to remove a spell at some point. Hostage Taker allows you to exile any creature, and then you can cast it. But
so you could exile 2 creatures. So it's another way to remove some stuff.
Woodland Bellower seems like a solid tutor, going and finding Azusa.
Or you go, because you're going to find 2 creatures, green creatures that are 3 or less. You potentially can go get 2 elves, go find 4 land and put them into play or into your hand. So there's some. I'm interested to see if that one works out. In all the play testing,
I think it'll work.
I never came across that one.
Oh, okay.
And the hard part about the play testing on Tapped Out is like anything that you have to do for like searching, it doesn't allow you to do that. So like when I did like the fetched lands, I just had to keep shuffling because it lets you see the top card. Like you can just go over the top of the deck to see it. So I kept shuffling until a basic land that I was looking for came up, and I was like, all right, I'll take that and put it into play. So it was kind of whatever. So weird. Tutoring stuff doesn't work very well on that.
Rune Scarred Demon seems like you're cheating with your tutoring.
It's my only tutor. My only tutor, really.
Woodland Billower is a kind of a tutor. Yeah. Obnixilis the Fallen.
I guess it is kind
of. Why isn't that in your landfall section?
Obnixilis. I don't know. Because it's a game winner. It's an awesome ETB.
So if a land comes into play, you get to drain somebody for 3 life, and you put 3/1 counters on it.
Double that.
Yeah.
So that can get pretty sick pretty quick. Massacre Worm is instead of everything getting -2/-2, everything gets -4. All your opponent's creatures get -4/-4. They don't double trigger the 2 damage that they take, but it's a better board wipe than everything getting -2. I think Massacre Worm's more for like hitting a
bunch of little guys.
Yeah, but now it can hit a majority of things in the game, so that one will be interesting.
And Phyrexian Delver is going to be crazy.
That should have been actually over there probably because it's
typical.
Yeah, it's your typical kind of bring back.
So that when it comes into play, you get to bring a creature back from any graveyard, and then you lose life to the converted mana cost.
Yeah.
But you get to do it twice.
Yeah.
Double it.
And you're gaining, I think there's 4 or 5 things in this that you gain life. So I think it still has a little but it has enough life game in here that you're not going to be, there's certain decks like my Eureka deck. If I lose life, there's no way I'm getting life back until they just printed those new ninjas that have the life gain mixed into it. That's my only source now of gaining life. But this one has, I think, 5 things that gain me life. So
okay,
I wasn't as scared to put that in there. And then we have a couple things that are removal. You got
Acidic Slime, Manglehorn.
Manglehorn's interesting because it makes it so that your opponent's artifacts come into play tapped.
So Patron of the Vein, what did that do?
It's the vampire. It's 2 black and 4 colorless. Comes into play. Destroy target creature. Whenever a creature goes into the graveyard, or an opponent's graveyard, remove it from the game and put a 1/1 counter on all your vampires.
This is your only vampire, though, right?
Right. So it's really the only one that would get it.
Would it be better if you went with a cheaper creature that killed, like?
I hope you say one that's already on there.
I hope
like
so too.
Shriek Maw.
I wasn't gonna say Ravenous Chupacabra. That was what is in my head.
Yeah. So
I just wanted. There are others that do that.
Yeah. No. There's a few others. I was actually there's an artifact that has about the same casting
the
cost.
Exile one.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask you about that.
So I could go that route. I also did have Meteor Golem. Is that what it is? Mm-hmm. And that one's 7, and it's a colorless.
That destroys any permanent.
Yeah. So that was in here.
That could be good.
That's kind of actually on my side of maybe putting it in. The thing I liked about that, the Patron of the Vein, is that it exiles anytime that anybody's putting stuff into their graveyard.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked that side bonus to it, and it gave me a flyer. So
side bonus.
I don't know. But the thing is it might be better to have an artifact and replace. So we'll see how that one tests out. So I'll have my Meteor Golem, and then... Oh, no, it was... is it Duplicate? Duplicant was the one that I was thinking would go on that spot, because then you're exiling 2 things and then it's getting bigger. So I don't know.
Does that double? Do we know if that, like,
I don't know for sure.
It gets its power and toughness or whatever it exiled. So would that, like, add.
Oh,
So if you did a 3/3
we know it would double
and a
the
4/4,
killing 2 things, right?
Yeah,
but I think
but
you could only pick one of them.
One of the 2
is
okay.
what how I would.
We don't know that one.
Somebody number 2, please correct us. Send us a text later when you hear this. We don't want to look it up and take a pause to the podcast to figure it out. So
we got stuff to do. Talk about Reclamation Sage. Do you got the promo of it?
No,
I purposely did that. I remember that from last week. Purposely
you're still gonna get a no good for you.
It's gorgeous art.
Yep,
the full
you said
art
that
one.
same thing.
It's just, son of a bitch.
Oh, there was another one. I'm surprised that we didn't. There was another one. Is there another one in here that you saw?
I'm sure there is, but
you had an amazing.
I am probably a really nice guy this week.
Promo foil, whatever the fuck it was. All right, yeah, and then Chupacabra, and then Noxious Gearhulk is that's another Gain Life one. Woo!
Do you have the Masterpiece version of it?
You don't.
No. I was asking you.
Nice try. And then the last part of it, you can't
winners
have a green deck that plays lots of creatures because there's 55, I think it's 55 or 54 creatures in this.
So you're going to have creatures. Some make tokens.
Craterhoof Behemoth is one of my game winners. And the new one,
God
newish.
Eternal Ronus.
So what that one will do is double the power and then double it again.
Mm-hmm.
So I had thought of maybe using End Rays as one of them. Yeah. But that would only give it, 4+4.
Trample Vigilance.
Twice. And I was thinking about it, and, if as long as they aren't 1/1s, this is better, the God Eternal, because if it's a 2/2, it doubles it to a 4/4 and then doubles it to an 8/8. Whereas End Rays is only going to give it
go
plus
from 2
4
to 4 to 6.
So it's only going to be a 5/5 to an 8/8. So then if you have a 3/3 with the Ronus, it goes 6 to 12. So the only time that End Rays is better in this situation is if they're 1/1s, but that's about it. So I was like, and this is 5 casting costs to come into play. And it also has the ability that if it dies, it goes third from the top. So you have the potential of drawing it again and getting that ATB effect where End Rays, if it gets killed, it's dead and you have to bring it back. So this, I felt like was a much better bonus. And it's,
in this part. Yeah, I can see that.
So yeah, that's this in a nutshell, which is...
And so just going with... Last week you were like, I don't know how it's going to go. How do you think now, a week later thinking about it?
After playtesting it, it's good. It's really good. I was surprised. I think its downfall is I don't have a crap ton of 1 and 2 drop stuff because you don't have your soul rings. You don't have the mono rocks. I'm dependent on the elves to give me that, and that's typically a turn 3 thing. So a majority of the time, I'm not doing anything until turn 3.
Okay, so kill you before turn 3.
Great. But the cool thing about it, and why I think it's actually more powerful than what I was giving it credit for, was that you don't have to have Yarok out. Yarok is a very good bonus, but a lot of times I was doing all this stuff, I was playing my cards, and I'm like, it's almost more beneficial for me to just play these cards and get my bonuses. If there's time to set up for a Yarok, then I think that's where it can get crazy. But I'm not dependent on it coming out because everything
that's really important.
Has an ETB, which gives me a bonus. It's always doing something else when they're coming into play. So I'm excited to play this deck a lot, and I don't know when we're ever going to play it, Lowery.
I don't either.
When are we going to play? What about this weekend? You open this weekend?
No.
You're not open this weekend?
I'm busy.
Happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you.
That's why we
3 years. Wedding.
Whoop, whoop.
That's what he's talking about.
Whoop, whoop. So you really can't play this weekend?
No.
That was kind of a serious question.
I'm working.
Larry, you want to play? Sure.
No, I don't think I can.
So, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to test this out. I think...
And Besh on Twitter today was just like, don't put Terastodon in there.
Which that was on my list originally, but I took it out. Yeah.
It seems... Yeah, so Terastodon, when it comes into play, you get to destroy 3 non-land creatures, and then whatever you destroy...
Non-land permanents, isn't it?
Non-land permanents, yeah. And did I say non-land creatures? Dumb. So you can't get Dryad Arbor? Damn. But so non-land permanents. And so then they would get a 3/3 elephant. Well, you get to double that with Yarok. And then he, it died, and then he brought it back with Phyrexian Delver, and he was just destroying everybody's lands, which seems really powerful.
Did you say non-land permanent?
Non-land permanent.
So why was he destroying their lands?
No, it's non-creature permanents. There we go. Fuck. You can't destroy creatures.
Okay.
That's what it is. It's acidic slime, but bigger, and that gives 3/3s. So, non-creature permanents. It's been a while since I looked at the card.
Well, the funny thing is, that was on my list, but the part that's a little...
I'd fuck your shit up if you gave me 6. I would just all out. I'd go
Adam die!
Bull
When
red.
is that different from anything else?
I'm generally pretty nice to you.
Not lately. But
you're a dickhead.
I had to get rid of it because I had to bring my curve down because it was way too high with that.
Already
in there.
too high?
That's like a 9 drop or something like that.
8 or 9, yeah.
Yeah. So
it'd be I'm surprised you're not running Soul Ring because you do have a higher curve. Generally, I at least consider dropping Soul Ring if my curve is pretty low.
Well, I'm only doing that because I'm trying to stay with the theme of it. Mm-hmm, that doesn't fit with anything I'm trying to do there. Everything else has ETB or works with landfall. Soul Ring's just Soul Ring. So I'm kind of, maybe it'll get added in later, but right now I'm trying to be, this is my theme and I'm sticking to it.
Good for you.
Oh,
you stick to it.
You. All right, should we move on?
I don't actually have a noise for this one. I don't know. Top 5 cards.
Top 5 deck.
No, Jesus. Not everything can be that.
I know. This is Adam and Lowery's favorite 5 cards. Is that
good
one
enough
good?
for me, yeah. We'll do that.
Maybe I'll put a little jingle to it.
Just like a little bell in the background.
Ding, 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 ding. Adam and Lowery's top 5 cards. So we're going to stretch this one out. This is a new segment.
We're not stretching that. We're fine.
No, new segment.
Yeah.
So we are going to have their top 5 artifacts, their top 5 enchantments. I guess
I think we end with commanders.
Yeah.
Because I didn't put commanders on here at all, like legendary creatures.
Yeah. So that's the other.
We could do instants.
I do have a legendary creature on mine.
Well, that's your fault.
But it's not a typical commander. Who would use that? That'd be kind of ridiculous. But anyways. What is? Should we?
Am I doing
drum roll?
Me, you.
All right.
You?
Top number 5.
Top number 5, which is going to be number 5, which is the bottom of the top 5.
We did put this in order. So, Lowery, what is your fifth favorite card
out of 5? My favorite creature, I'm going to say, is Steel Hellkite.
Your 5th favorite creature.
5th favorite.
You said your favorite.
Whatever.
We just went over this, and then you said it was your favorite.
I felt like we were just saying different words and numbers. It didn't matter.
That's how sentences work.
Number 5.
They don't keep saying the same word. It's different words followed by another different word.
So, Steel Hellkite. This is a flying dragon, and you can kind of pump it. But the big thing is it's colorless, and whenever it deals damage, you can pay X, and then you can destroy permanents of X cost that you paid that person has. So you can pay 0 to destroy all tokens. You can pay 2 to get rid of their signets, or generally that's where I start attacking and try and get the most value out of it.
And the nice thing is it's flying, so it has a little bit of evasion to it to be able to do that.
And the reason why I just like this one so much is if it does so much if I'm lacking destroy permanents. And so and generally
it's a good way to add a removal in, and it's for any color of deck.
Exactly. And that's where I just like it so much, where I'm just I'm really heavy on this theme. I got enough working for it, but I can tell that I'm not going to be able to deal with X. And this will deal with artifacts, enchantments, creatures, just anything that you're lacking, and it's just a really nice stopgap. And so that's where I end up going I don't think I have enough. It's a nice top end. If you got a ton of mana, you can even, I think it's pay 2 to give it +1/+0. Not super relevant, but it allows you to pump it if you want.
Yeah.
And so I just really like this card as flexible as it is.
That is a very good card. I do add that in sometimes, like you're saying, if I don't have enough removal or whatever, it's a good way to get rid of a lot of shit.
Yeah.
It's a good. You want to have something that can get rid of all the tokens, because you do come across some dickhead Trombley, no, I'm just kidding, making tons and tons of tokens, and then there's nothing you can do about it. But if you have this, it just wipes them all out.
Yeah, I mean, generally you're going to have a token deck, or even if somebody's playing a tribal deck like elves or goblins, they're all going to be decently similar casting cost, and so you're able to just kind of wipe a portion of a board, and so it's just in that flexibility. It's really nice to be able to get, and even if you need to, you hit somebody and you're just like, I'm going to pay 5, get rid of your Lotus Bloom or whatever. It's just it can take out something super big if you just want that one, and it's repeatable removal.
Yep.
So I enjoy it.
My number 5 is Thassa, God of the Sea. Now, the reason I like this is a 1 blue, 2 colorless. It's a god. I believe it's a 5/5 or a 5/6 or something.
5/5.
5/5. It has lots of abilities to it, but the one thing I like about it is it has, at the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1, which is pretty sweet. So you always have top manipulation. And then the other part of it is, I mean, you attack with creatures. This is a way to make your creatures unblockable. So it has a blue and 2 colorless. I believe
one colorless.
Is it 1 colorless?
Yep.
Target creature is unblockable until end of turn. And it doesn't tap. You can do it to multiple creatures. So you can get multiple creatures through. And a lot of times my decks will have, you just need the creature to get through, but you have triggers that happen when the creature gets through and does damage. But the point of the game is, most of the time your decks are built that your creatures kill a person. I mean, you do have some other things where, like, I have my Necrosar that's built off of not ever attacking but having things happen. But most of the time, you're trying to get through with your creatures and kill somebody. It
does a really good job of, like, breaking stalemates. Like, oftentimes there's like, I would be able to attack with this one creature and leave all this stuff back because it's a big heavy hitter, but I know they could triple, quadruple block it, kill it. And they'll lose some stuff, but you don't want to open yourself up, and that allows you to get through like one big threat, deal some damage too. Or if you're in like a Voltron deck,
you just need one creature
get
to
it
build
through.
up and get through and win the game or kill a person.
Yeah, like Ruhan of the Fomori, you got Brago. Just whenever there's a commander that you want to be able to get through, this is a great card because it's so hard to remove with Indestructible as well.
Yeah, that's the other part, is it's indestructible and it can turn into a creature. Like, you never really... when I play Thassa, I very rarely attack with it because I'm more focused on all the other things that it's doing. You know, my deck is trying to get through, or there's so many parts to her, but she's just... For 3 mana, it's a pretty damn good card.
Yeah. And like you're saying, at the end of a game, you can choose multiple creatures for as much mana as you're not going to use. There's like, I'm going to pay 8, get these 4 creatures through. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they spot removal after you pay the mana, but at the same time, that's kind of worth it because they would have done it
anyway.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, Lowery.
What is my number 4? This is one that we've talked about a lot this year, and I was kind of surprised at how many decks I actually have it in. Doom Whisperer. Oh. Which is 2 black, 3 colorless, 6/6 flying trample. Then you can pay 2 to surveil 2. And I think I think I have it in like 4 decks.
I'm surprised, because I love this card. Yeah. And I have it in 0 decks. We hype this up so much, but I think that's because of how you play. You're very good at playing from your graveyard, and this is able to put things in your graveyard and manipulate your top at the same time. Yeah. I've only seen it come out once, I think, from you, but if it's just I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't think I've been able to get it into play, but it has that. It's really aggressive. 6/6 flying trample for 5.
Right there. That's awesome.
It's really good. And then just being able to manipulate your top, and like you're saying, playing from the graveyard. If you're in that, you're able to just dump big creatures and be able to do that. But it works super well in like my Muldrotha deck, the Victus Asmati deck. Those were the 2 where I was like, those
Holy
are perfect
shit,
in there. Yeah, this is amazing. And then, it fit in the theme with Lycia where I'm paying life. what was the other deck? But it's a great beater, super cheap. Like this can fit in a lot of themed decks as well. Like it can go in Kalia the Vast for demons, and it's need
kind of a
Kalia
free
to bring it out.
cast because you're paying life to do its ability. You don't have to tap mana, so you can do it. Somebody goes to kill it, and you're just like, okay, well I'm going to do this one time. Now we're going to do it a second time. Do it a third time.
It can dig as far as you need it to go, and so it's been interesting, and it is probably too soon. It probably shouldn't make this list because it hasn't been around long enough. But when I'm looking at my decks and I'm just going, this fits here, here, it works really well, and it's really aggressive. And right now, I think it's under $10, which is super nice too.
Well, that was the one card that we were like, pick up, and we're still think,
I'm sitting on like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, and I have foils of those too that I got for more than I paid for them that they're worth now. But I think in the future, those suckers are going to be worth quite a bit.
I still think it's a really, really powerful card. And so, but this isn't a plug for it. It's just, it feels like it's working really well. And it's just a really aggressive creature if you so want.
Especially if you're a player that does well playing with
from the
recursion
graveyard
and everything. And you're one of those players that is very good at having those themes in your decks. Not necessarily
it's
themes,
just like
but you have
great,
a lot
like
of
black
recursion.
graveyard decks though. You have like Carador, Marin, Clan of Telnoth. Like I'm naming off like 8, and some of them are really major commanders that this just works really well in. And again, I think I'm still really high on it, so I like it.
I like it a lot. All right,
What's
number
your number
4 for me is Weathered Wayfarer. Now, I try to play this as much as I can in any white deck, and the nice thing about this card is that you get to go search for any land. As long as somebody has more land than you tap it and go search for any land, and you're able to put that into play. So there goes my Gaia's Cradle. But it's just a good way for white, that and land tax. But land tax is more...
I prefer this over land tax.
Because land tax, you have to go get basic land, and this you get to go search for anything.
And I like to, like, with land tax, you're like, well, I guess I'm going to go get it.
Yeah.
Towards this, you're like, I'll use it when I want to use it. I don't have to use it if I don't want to. And it almost always is a benefit just being able to go, like, get Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so, like, or Gaia's Cradle, you can go and get Cabal Coffers, really, really powerful lands.
And like I've talked about before, is lands are very important in... You have other... Like, if you're not able to have enough answers for certain things, like removing Hexproof, a good card to always throw in if you're targeting stuff is you throw in the, what is it, Command Tower? Or
Arcane Lighthouse.
Arcane Lighthouse. So this could be a way to go find that if you need to have a way to target somebody's creature, or you need somebody's graveyard to get removed. I mean, yeah, you have to be playing black as well, but Bojuka Bog. And, there's so many... And I purposely do that with my lands, as I have tools in there to answer things, and this is a way that you can go get it.
Yeah, it's like just being able... They're essentially free spells if you're able to have lands with abilities on them. Even though they might not fix your mana as well, as long as you have a pretty good base where you're happy with it, you can sprinkle in those ability lands.
Yeah.
So, and that's where Weathered Wayfarer comes into great. I definitely... And this is definitely... you brought me onto this card years ago at this point. I was jealous because forever it was expensive.
It still is.
You traded me one.
Oh, that's right.
I got in that huge Planeswalker trade that we did. I sent you $40 worth of Planeswalkers. So
yeah, that's my number 4. Your number 3.
Tireless Tracker.
I was like, are you trying to figure out? We talked about this card earlier.
We did. And again, this Tireless Tracker, it's green, 2 colorless. It's a 3/2. Whenever land comes into play, you make a clue token. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, you get to put a 1/1 counter on it.
That part's like a benefit, but the getting a freaking clue token off of a land coming in is awesome.
Because what it does is it's allowing you to draw in a color that doesn't draw super well, like on a consistent basis. Green does really well with like big draw. Yeah. So like they're doing like 5-6 mana spells, like some Garuks, or like Harmonize is 4 and draw 3. But This allows you to consistently use your mana, being able to. It's just free draw to a degree, and it's very flexible. And I found that I was putting it in. I think I had this in like 3 or 4 of my decks as well, just because like it goes really well in Vivictus Asmati, creating another permanent to just sacrifice
you
for
like
it.
Vivictus, don't you?
I do enjoy it. I would agree. Still bringing it up a year later. But again, and then late game, it allows you to have a cheap creature and make it get bigger over the course of a game. Like it's good in a lot of different places in a green deck, and it just kind of like is a really nice glue card. And so yeah, I have it in Nikia, and
it even works well if you're playing stuff that's using artifacts because you're generating artifacts.
Yeah, you're generating the artifacts. So it always just seems to really do well in a game.
It's a good card. It's a really good card. All right, my next one is kind of a big fatty, but I like this card. But it's Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. So the original Kozilek, the original gangster. The reason why I put this in there is not because, if you're able to cast it, you draw 4 cards. So you have a draw ability to it. It also has Annihilator, so you have a way of kind of removal in a way. But it also has, instead, I would normally put Emrakul in, but it has if it goes into your graveyard from anywhere, it gets shuffle your graveyard and your library. And so I put this in decks where I'm either drawing a lot or I have a potential of killing myself by drawing killing myself by decking. So it's just kind of a card that I could kind of say. Side note is you could also go Ulamog, the original one, because it has
I was going to say I feel like when we talked about this, you had both of them, but you do normally go with Kozilek
because I like the draw part of it. But Ulamog you'll be able to remove a permanent, which that gives you your removal. You also have Annihilator, and then it has the shuffle.
Well, it has Indestructible as well.
And doesn't this one? No,
this one doesn't.
Does not. Yeah,
Kozilek is not. Just draws you the 4 cards.
So I just tend to put this in a lot of decks, and I like putting it in there. And I like to draw cards, so a lot of times I'm worried that I'll deck myself. So it is in my Nekasar deck because I don't want. I think it is in there. It should be in there.
I don't remember.
But if I ever have a potential of decking myself or something, or I'm drawing a crap ton of cards, this definitely goes in there. Or if I have a lot of ramp, because Annihilator is pretty fucking crazy.
A really, really big top end card.
Yeah. So this is really expensive card to go in, but I think it's an amazing card to have in there because the very worst you're casting it and you're drawing 4 cards.
And I can see where you're coming from. Like I'm almost never afraid I'm going to deck myself. I think I've only almost decked myself one time, and I didn't.
I think the reason why I do this more is because until recently I don't have a lot of graveyard recursion.
Yeah, so it's nice to shuffle it back in.
Yeah, to be able to get all the cards that I cast, to have that ability that, my answer might be in my graveyard, but if I have no graveyard recursion,
it's just stuck there. It's gone already.
But now I have this option that if I get to that point, the game isn't over. Because there's sometimes we've had this happen. You're playing a game, somebody plays something, and you just go, I just don't have an answer for that. Like in my deck, there is no answer, and we've just said, okay, that's game. We've done that a couple times. I think you probably are out of the game at that point because you normally have. No, I'm just saying. I'm not being a dick because if you were in the game, you would. Although I feel like you have been in that spot where you're like, I don't have a way to stop that. Like they have 2 things that are protecting something or whatever.
Yeah.
But we've gotten to that point where it's just like there's nothing in my deck that I can deal with that, so we just end the game. And so I want to have that option that if I cast it, especially when I used to play not as much recursion, I needed a way to get it back if I cast it, and this was my way. Shuffle it back in if it dies.
And I think that's a fine way of doing it. And I think whenever I have, like, just going off of this is a land, Scavenger Grounds is that removes all graveyards. And so if I'm not playing from my graveyard, I personally just want to attack other people's everybody's graveyards because I don't care if it's mine or not. But I there are some decks, like I've been talking with number 2 on a deck he's working on, and he's putting Jace in there, the new Jace, where like if he draws a card and he doesn't have any any cards in his library, he wins the game. It's the Lab Maniac Jace. And it seems like that's something that he's planned in there. Whereas I'm like, man, you got to be drawing a ton of cards to be getting to that point. And there's just so many cards. And he's talking about an instance of where, so maybe he wants to consider Kozilek or Ulamog to allow him to shuffle stuff back in. I hadn't thought about it until we were working, because then that would also give him a converted mana cost. He's playing the Sphinx. We might talk about this in a couple weeks anyway.
The deck tech thing possibly.
Yeah, and so this might actually allow him to have a different converted mana cost, but still works with the deck a little bit. So that could really work for him.
Yeah, so that's it's just a card that I tend to play and a deck that if I'm drawing a lot. I guess I haven't put it in decks lately since we've started the podcast, because we're normally doing themes and all that stuff, so it's not been in there, but it's a card I'd like to put in there. If Emrakul wasn't banned, Emrakul would be it.
Emrakul would be in every deck. Literally every deck. And that's why Bribery went to a $20 card, because everybody was playing Emrakul, and then whoever played Bribery just stole other people's...
When are we going to do that segment idea where we talk about cards we think should be unbanned? Because Emrakul would be at the top of my list.
No, that'd be a bad idea. You're making me push that idea out.
Number 1, Adam with Emrakul. All right, your number 2 card, Lowery.
It is my number 2.
All right, should we say it together?
Yeah, we could say it together.
Oracle of Moldiah.
This is both our number 2.
Hey, number 2. Yeah, this card, it's in every deck. Every green deck that we talk about has this in it. Every deck, pretty much.
And I can see the downfall of giving information off the top of the library. Like, people see what's coming.
But man, having that land advantage and being able to just filter through is so freaking good.
Yeah, it can get really crazy if you have a Mirror's Guile library of Sylvan library of library. I almost said that.
Scroll rack.
Yeah, just being able to set your top with the Oracle Moldiah, you just get so far ahead. It just gets really crazy, and that's generally how. Or with Crucible of Worlds, like it works on a couple different levels, and so it almost always is working.
But the thing about the reason why it's so good is like it doesn't have to fit in a theme deck. It just can be in every green deck because it's helping you filter through and get. And at the same time, you're getting more land. You're getting ahead of everybody with your land drops, and you're getting to draw cards that aren't land that actually matter that you can use. Even though they know it's coming, you're ahead and they can't stop it. If you're 3, 4, 5 land ahead, they're fucked.
It's really hard to come back from that. And I think there's a reason this is like $30, $40.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome card. So now why don't we just move to your number 1
my
since
number
we
1?
both are number 2 there.
So my number 1 is going to end up being just Solemn Simulacrum.
Yep, that's a Lowery card.
Super
right there.
boring.
That's a Lowery card though.
And again, I think there's a bit of a theme between what I'm doing or have been doing, but I like glue cards. Because what I'm doing, like Solemn just fits in a ton of decks. Like it's black-white ramp. It's ramp in decks that don't really get ramp. And so I don't put in a ton of green decks, but just about every other non-green deck I put it in. And it's also draw if you have like sacrificing going on. But again, it's
a blocker for you too that you just throw out there so you can freaking draw. Meat force. It's a little meat force.
It just, like, for me, I like to have consistency within my deck, and then my top end, I want to get to a different top end every game. And so I do enjoy top end cards like Craterhoof Behemoth and Cyclonic Rift, but I don't
fuck, you bastard.
I did that again, didn't I?
You're a son of a bitch. God damn it. Go ahead with your number 1. God. You're so terrible at this. You podcast. You suck.
I'm turning around.
I'm never doing lists with you again. This is why we don't do lists together. We combine.
We
with
always
one.
do combine.
We combine ones because you just ruined my list.
Nobody would have known.
I'm surprised you didn't tweet my list out when I just gave it to you before we did this cast. Damn it.
I think everybody knew. Everybody knew what your number 1 was. It's going to be P.
Are you done with that? What else do you want to talk about your Solum? Because mine's Crater Hoof Behemoth.
We can talk about it. It's super boring.
Are you
Go
done
on.
with Solum
Yeah,
Simulacrum?
We can be done.
All right, so yeah, mine's
I'm really
Crater
glad I
Behemoth.
didn't get you a bitter beer. You brought your own bitter.
Crater Hoof Behemoth. It's another card like Oracle Moldiah. Every green deck that has creatures in it. If you don't, and the thing is I've talked about this before. When you're building decks, at least when I'm building decks, we talk about it. The Day of Dragons. What's your Day of Dragons? What's your game winner? And if sometimes you just don't have. The deck is going to work well together, but you need something that's like, if you get that out, most of the time you win the game. And so if you don't have an answer like that in your deck, you're doing something wrong. No, you just need to have something that ends the game quickly. I hate if you don't have an answer like that, you can make the games last a long time. You might win the game, but it might take 3 hours because you have this way of piddling it down. So I always try to have something in there. If there's green and there's creatures, Crater Hoof is in it in every single deck. It's just a good... Now we have some other answers. But we're talking about creatures, but there's other stuff that's adding to Crater Hoof. Like Finale of Devastation helps you do that. Not necessarily have Crater Hoof, but you can go get it. But it's a good way to get the game over, you know. So that's.
I can't wait for our next top 5 list.
Do you want to tell mine now? What's on my list?
Instance. Your number one's going to be Cyclonic Rift.
Woo! I don't know if it will be.
It probably will.
It might. Teferi's Protection would make it in there too.
It probably is on that, yeah.
And I really like the Disrupt Decorum a lot.
That's a sorcery.
Oh yeah, it is. That's right. Trying to think of some off the top of my head.
Can't wait.
Yeah, because then you'll just run. I think I'll start with my 5, and then you go
you
5.
You can't naturally ruin lists like me.
You're so good at it, Lowery.
I'm natural at it. Oh my god!
You're I think gave me a hand gesture like Crater of Behemoth. I'm glad if we had video, they'd have been like, oh, that must be Adam's number 1.
It was a good segue that I did not mean to do. Oh boy!
All right, let's move into our Smith specs of the week, guys. To finish off the week, we only have we have 2 specs each. So we had some specs last week. We kind of talked about. Fairies was a good thing to go after. They've kind of gone crazy a little bit in some aspects.
Yeah. Do you want to tell them what I was going to say?
Yeah.
Just for a little payback.
So Lowery likes to talk about reserve list cards here.
Yeah. And so I would say like Fairy Noble on a lower end, which is $1. It's a reserve list card from Homelands. But I would probably push more towards Willow Priestess, which is also a reserve list card from Homelands.
Yeah.
You get to tap it, put a fairy into play, and I think the major part is that it's just reserve list. And, and there's a comparable card.
They talked about it on Fast Finance about how they thought that it was kind of silly to go after Willow Priestess, but I think I agree with Lowery with this, is that it's a reserve list card, and so it's not like they're going to go out and print this. We know it's not in the set. It is a way to cheat fairies into play at instant speed.
And there's a comparable card with Goblin Wizard, which is from the dark, reserve list card. It taps, put any goblin into play, instant speed. And goblins are super cheap, fairies are super cheap. The only problem that you're having is that Willow Priestess is green. And so I wouldn't go crazy with Willow Priestess. I would at least, if you
have
are
it
interested
for your collection at the very least,
have at least one, because it did go up from $1 up to $4 right now.
But I think that'll retract a little bit once it really won't go crazy until the set is starts getting
released. And if you see a fairy with green when it starts being spoiled, then you know there's a decent chance. Because right now, we don't know if green fairies is a thing.
Or if it's going to be black and blue again.
Yeah, and so you got a lot of question marks there. But having at least one, I think, gives you a pretty good chance of not getting locked out of a deck.
Yeah.
Or, you're not going to be locked out of a deck. But the Goblin Wizard is a $30 card. There's a lot more Goblin decks, but
that's what I was going to say. I think there's more goblins, but if they start printing more and more fairies, especially if they start using green.
I can see this going, it's a $4 card right now. I can see it being 10 to 15.
If they print a good commander that involves green, I think.
Fairies is pretty popular. I think if you get a blue-green commander, I think it goes 10-15.
You need to involve black in that.
More than likely it
blue,
is,
green,
but I'm
black.
just saying if there's a green, it goes to 10-15.
Yeah. So that's I think really the point here is you don't need to go deep necessarily on it, but have it for your collection, because if that you start spoiler season and there's a green blue or green black blue fairy, this card's going to go up.
Yep.
I agree.
So I would be hesitant on getting a ton, but easily
a
at
week
least
ago
one.
when we told you to get it, and then we couldn't actually get that out because Larry's mic wasn't working. They were about $1, right?
Yeah, they were about $1 at that point,
So
and that would have been a lot better to buy in.
Yeah.
At.
So now it's just more of maybe get one for your collection, maybe a couple more just in case.
If you want to trade them away or sell them just in case they do go crazy. But that would be my thinking.
Yeah, I agree. And then I got 2 specs for this week. One is Tatiova. I talked about it earlier. This had such a really low inventory, and actually if you go on Goldfish now, you can kind of see a little spike that happened there, and that's it's just there isn't a lot on there. So I actually bought a few of them because I was like, geez, there's just not a lot of inventory. It's just a good card. We are going to get it rotating out here this fall, but it is an uncommon, which is why it's sitting at a lower, but it's still at a higher price. For an uncommon, it's at $5.
Foil. Yeah, but it is a legend.
Oh, did I not say foil? Yeah, foil.
Yeah, foil.
So this, it's a legendary creature, so it could be your commander, but this fits in green-blue decks. The landfall part of it is awesome, and this is, I don't remember what the EDH rec decks were, but it was up there for a newer set, I actually should
For a standard set?
For a set that's still in standard. It was in a lot of EDH decks.
And I think it's very possible. The hard thing is like, I don't know if it's going to drop with rotation.
Yeah.
Because things have really kind of changed in the last year or two, where like cards might be on the dip right now. And I don't think after rotation you're going to see too much in like staple cards. So kind of like on the last rotation, you didn't see a dip with like Razaketh or what's the Reign of Hellfire. Like
you mean the Hellfire, Torment of Hailfire?
Yeah, Torment of Hailfire. You didn't see a huge drop there.
And in fact, they went up.
yeah. And so that's something that I would really look out for. This would probably be the time if you have like huge commander cards that you're keeping an eye on, you think they're going to drop at rotation.
This might
if they're going down right now, I would consider looking at them pretty strong, keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, and the thing is you can pick up the non-foils at dirt cheap. Like those are so cheap.
Yeah,
you can get those easily, but I'm really focused on the foils, and as your commander, a lot of people like to play with the foils. And it's in 5,000 EDH rec decks. As a commander, it's over 1,000 EDH decks. So this has only been out for just over a year because it came out around when War of the Spark would have been this year, whatever.
It would have been last year. Yeah.
So definitely I would pick those up if you at least want one for your commander or for your collection, the foils of those bad boys. And then my second one is a Modern Horizons card. It's Dead of Winter. This card just spiked for the foils, and I'm talking non-foils with this. And the foils, I'm going to check this out. But you can get these for like $1.
So it gives -X to the amount of snow permanents you have to non-snow creatures.
So it's being used in a crap ton. I mean, for just coming out, it's already in quite a few modern. I guess some legacy is being used in there, but it's being used in modern quite a bit. And the big thing is, because the foils just spiked, is what's triggering me, is that the foils are up to $21 and you can pick up these for $1. So I can see this card reaching $5, possibly $10. And I think they even talked about it a little bit.
I think it's an easy one-sided wrath.
Yeah.
If not just a cheap wrath.
But they also mentioned it on Fast Finance, so then their guys are going to be picking stuff up for this one. So this is one that it still had quite a bit of inventory because this is a new set.
From Modern Horizons, yeah.
But I would definitely go pick up a few, go pick up 10 of them, spend $10 on this, and who knows, I mean, I'd say six months, a year from now, this is going to be you're going to double, triple, quadruple, be $5 to $10 card.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'm holding on to these. So just to let you know, like, I opened up all those boxes. I have cards that I kind of set off to the side that I'm like, okay, I got to keep checking in on this card, and this is one of those cards from Modern Horizons. Modern Horizons has a lot of
really good cards.
Yeah. So,
one of mine. This might not necessarily be a spec necessarily, but like, so Gideon the spell book kind of came out recently, and the singles are super cheap. So, and a lot of them, I think I picked up.
And aren't they foil too?
No, not all of them. I mean, you can buy them in foil.
Okay.
You get when you buy the spell book, you get one foil randomly.
Random?
Out of that.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't like, but you just have like true convictions under $1. You can get Gideon Jura under $1.50. Like all of the cards except for Rest in Peace are like under $2. And so I went through and just kind of filled out my collection with a bunch of that. Just
nice.
I spent like $8 and got every card I wanted basically.
That's pretty sweet.
So I would just say if you're looking for some of those white cards that you saw, they're super cheap right now. So
sweet.
Was that it for you?
Yeah,
because I got one more suggestion.
What?
And so we talked last week. We talked about the commander sets and the ideas that were coming out with like Flashback, Morph. What were the other two? They were just so bad. Populate and Madness.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking to spec on any of those ideas, you can tell that a lot of like Dream Chisel went from $1 foil up to 16, and Ixodron went from like $2-3 foil. That's a $20 foil net right now, and those both work in Morph. But in my opinion, if you find something that works with one of these ideas, get the foil.
Only foil.
Only get the foil.
The reason?
As long as it hasn't gotten ridiculous. Because in my opinion,
there's not a lot to choose from.
There's not a lot to choose from. So they
good
have
stuff
to
is
put
gonna
a
be
good.
printed.
They have to put the good stuff in there because that stuff's only under $2.
Yeah.
You know?
So that when they do that, it means it's going to be non-foil because all the new stuff typically is your commanders, and those are in foil, and then everything else is non-foil. So those won't be in there. So you want to go for the foils because they'll most likely be printed.
Yeah. So like there's a card called, I believe it's called Catalyst, artifact, and your flashback costs 2 less. Your opponent's flashbacks cost 2 more.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a $2-3 card, if that, and now it's up around $6. I'm like, if that's not reprinted in the flashback deck, like that's a fucking awful deck. You know what I mean? So like if they fail to reprint that card, then it will go crazy if the cards are good. But I just see them printing that one.
Yeah, I'm having trouble.
But if you get the foil, although it's already been found out. So if you find something that you like for one of those themes,
let us know.
You can do that. Yeah. But then I would say go for foil if it hasn't already done the spike.
I don't know if I'm not going to really chase those right now. I just like when we discussed it, it was like they're. Who knows? It might be really awesome when they start spoiling here soon. But
I am pessimistically optimistic.
Yeah.
So,
but we should mention that they
crazy.
did spoil those 2 cards from Brawl. That
so
is now going to be a commander staple. The signet that you don't think is actually a signet. It shouldn't be. It's not a signet. But it's 2, and you get to. It's a 2-drop artifact, and you can tap it to give you any color of your commander. So that's in every commander deck. And then the other one was what? What was that again?
It was a commander. It was green, white, blue,
that's right.
2 colorless. Whenever you cast a creature, or whenever a non-token creature comes into play, you get to like draw a card.
Yeah, it was.
And then you get to bounce or blink a creature for
something
3.
like that. It was pretty ridiculous, but it was for the Brawl set that's coming out.
Yeah, they're going to be. I think we missed that last week, where they are going to be doing individual Brawl decks in the fall. So like they came up with the idea last year, then they started making. They're going to be making new cards for it, which are commander relevant, like that Signet is. But I don't know.
Yeah,
they're probably going to make really powerful ones because they want it to be successful.
But now they're
and then over time,
with Oathbreaker.
Yeah, they didn't know that.
Oathbreaker.
So, but and then the next years they're probably not going to do a Brawl decks next year because
they need to bring back Battle Bond again. I liked Battle Bond a lot.
Was bomb.
And then we get the other 5 lands.
That would also be cool.
Which, by the way, I kind of checked into those lands again. We were picking those up for like $5 or $4 or $5 last year.
Yeah.
They're at least double that now.
They're all
just,
around 10.
Yeah, they
Easy.
keep going up. And so I even think those are going to hit 20 at some point.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. They're really solid
good.
lands in Commander.
All right, we should finish this up. We are over an hour. You guys
Did
can
our sound cut out?
follow. Yeah, let me check really quick. Lowery, why don't you talk for a second?
And talking.
Sweet.
There we go.
All right,
We
you
got
guys
a full
can check us
episode.
out on Twitter.
At CommanderSmiths.
You can go to YouTube.
At CommanderSmiths.
And you can Gmail us.
At CommanderSmiths.
And then you can go to Patreon.
At CommanderSmiths.
Until next week, we'll see you guys later.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
I thought you were supposed to copy me on that.
Bye. All right, I'll cut it up and put it in.
That was pretty good. You don't have to cut it up. We can just...